Hi everyone, you're watching Good for the Game TV. It's Thursday night, 9 o'clock. That means it's time for the Handicap Rugby Chat That Matters. Good to be with you. Looking forward to those of you in the live chat will be corresponding as well. And I've got three guests here to look through what is essentially the last big weekend of rugby in the calendar year, really. I mean, if you like your European rugby, there's going to be Pro 14 and Gallagher Premiership and Top 14. But this is really it as far as the big internationals go. I think we've got a Barbarians game next week. But this is the chance. This is where you want to get in, make your money. Southpaw in the Good for the Game forum making that point. He said he's going to get stuck in this week because there are not that many more opportunities left. Well, if you did watch the GG Gaming Gone Mad show, you'll see we had a bit of chaos at the start. Couldn't get Gary on the line. I have no idea what happened. Sean jumped in to sort of bail us out. And Sean, we were talking about 5 minutes ago, but good to have you back on the show.
Yeah, good to be on the right show now.
That's right. I know you were saying to me you were thinking of using the time while you were watching GG Gaming just to do a little bit of research. And next thing you got an SOS from me saying, please come onto the show. There you go.
Well, happy to help, and yeah, good to be on. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I'd looked at the live comments, and yours was the first name I saw, and I thought, come, he's coming on here with. I can't talk for 20 minutes on my own. I should have, of course, called the Oracle because he could talk for 20 minutes on his own. How are you, Gavin?
Very well, thanks, Brent. Yes, I can talk for 20 hours on mine. Don't worry about 20 minutes.
You certainly can. Now, how did you go last week? You battled a bit as well. I think it's certainly the Scotland best bet that all of us liked. Well, in the end, I think the Springboks are worthy winners, but we can all look back and say things didn't go our way.
Yeah, Brent, it was a horrible week for me. In fact, it's been a horrible 3 weeks since the Sharks lifted the trophy. It's a distant memory now. I must say thank you to Sean, though, because of that Scotland plus 3.5. I ended up getting the R1,000 free bet because I think I came fourth last week. Stuck it on a horse yesterday, 8-1, and it arrived. So got out of the ambulance and the drip, and everything was pulled out, and back smiling again.
Excellent. Well, good to have you on the show. And then down in Cape Town, we got Henrik. He's wearing a big smile, but I got a feeling that's not as a result of his punting weekend either.
No, I also took a bit of heat, Brent. Yeah, that Scotland game. We're desperately unlucky there. I can't believe they didn't kick a goal. It just didn't make sense at the time. When they got the penalty, I actually celebrated. I thought, yes, the overs, we've got the overs, and the plus was looking good then as well. I still can't believe that. And after that, I tried to recover on Argentina, and I had money on New Zealand and minus. It ended up being a very bad weekend for me.
Yeah, it was one of those weekends for me as well. If I could say that I really liked the Scottish, so I was quite heavily involved. I was watching with people who are not from who don't know that I'm a punter, and we're assuming we were all shouting for South Africa. And when Scotland scored their second try, I couldn't resist. I stood up in the room and started singing "Flower of Scotland," and everyone thought this guy's mad. And of course, in the end, I tried to explain my bets to them. And when I mentioned 6 points, they said, "So you were okay?" But I said, no, I needed them to come within 6. And like you, I needed Scotland. I was on the over 21.5 as well. But the problem for me was, if you remember last week's show, I was the only guy who liked Ireland. Because of that loss on Scotland, and I was watching with other people, and I thought, I don't want to be grumpy the whole night. So I didn't have a bet. And of course, I got to watch the game. And I mean, Ireland, Henrik, were quite incredible, weren't they?
Yeah, but I only saw the second half. We were also at the Braai, and at that Braai, only the box game we only watched that. So I didn't see the first half, but the part I saw about Ireland, they were very impressive. They're so clinical, and you can see they are really well coached, and everybody knows what they're doing. All Blacks showing a bit of cracks. It's going to be. I think Ireland's going to be serious contenders at the World Cup, like you said last week.
I think they certainly will. Well, let's get straight into the action. The first game we're going to talk about is Italy up against New Zealand. We've got Italy here plus 32.5. And let me start with Gavin down there in Durban. Gavin, obviously New Zealand, big favourites for this one. And the majority of people saying, yeah, that Italy are going to feel the brunt of what has been perhaps a couple of not-so-great weeks and matches for New Zealand. Is that the case, or should we be respecting Italy on the handicap here?
Brent, last week I think I'm going to agree with Henrik there. I think Ireland were clinical. I watched a bit of the replay. I got to tell you, after the Scottish game, I didn't even bother watching those last two games. Had my small bets on them. Went to sleep. Woke up. In fact, I woke up during the Argentinian game. Saw they were 7-0 up. Went back to sleep. Saw they got smashed. Look, obviously won that little 500 rand bet with you on Australia. And like there, I'm sitting there thinking, geez, I've got my bet on the Italian plus. And I was actually more interested in your £500 bet than I was on my bet on the Italians. The Italians are poor, but geez, so are New Zealand. So this is actually really a tough game. 32.5 points. Geez, I don't know. I've had a small go at Italy, but there's absolutely no confidence there. I mean, New Zealand can win this game by 60. If New Zealand play as rubbish as they did last week, then they can get murdered. But then if New Zealand don't show up like they did last week, they can probably win this game by 20 or 25, and the handicap will arrive with a try to spare. So, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it's going to be sort of 25 to 30. If you're putting anything more than a unit on this game, you're going to be sweating the entire match. And so I'm only going a unit, so I won't be sweating at all.
Right, John. Not much of a play for you. They just seen Bo actually making the point on the live comments. He says plus 32.5. He likes it because the way New Zealand are chopping and changing their squad. And Sean, they have been chopping and changing a lot. And, like we've always said, there's no such thing as a really weak New Zealand side. I mean, they supposed B team hammered Japan. But where are you on the handicap on this one? And is Hansen perhaps up to something? Is he perhaps building even more depth in the squad, realizing that he might lose the odd game? Or are we reading too much into that? Or New Zealand on a bad trot?
No, I just they've had a long. If you look at them, they've had a long year, and this is the last game of a long season. They've had, the Crusaders with Super Rugby. They had the British and Irish Lions. They've had, the Tri Nations. They've had a long season. So this is the last game. And then to Oracle's points, I mean, it's you are going to be sweating if you take the plus. But I mean, I think that's the way to go. Just based on that. I think Hansen, the first thing he said after that loss to Ireland was that Ireland are the favourites for the World Cup. So he's turned that into a positive for him. So he can take the limelight off New Zealand, and they can just put all the pressure on Ireland. And he's going to do that in every interview until the World Cup starts. So maybe that's his plan B, because I've never seen Kieran Reid, drop and Retallick. I've never seen them fumble balls like they did against Ireland. So who knows what New Zealand are up to. But on that, I think Italy plus is the better way to go, just based on the long season that New Zealand have had.
Yeah, I'd also be leaning plus 32.5 here. Hard to back this Italian side with any confidence. They played very well early against Australia and still managed to get beaten on the handicap against what Henrik was probably quite a poor Australian side on the day. I've got a feeling you'll also be perhaps saving your bigger bets for other games.
Yeah, I'm not going big here, Brent. Initially, I leaned towards New Zealand on the minus. But having thought of the game a bit more and doing a bit of research, Italy, they normally keep it tight in the first half. In New Zealand with their bench, and I see Retallick is on the bench as well, they normally bet the second half team. So keeping that in mind, I'll be going for New Zealand on the second half, my handicap here, and also we'll be looking at half time to go over some New Zealand points. I also think there should be a few points here if the conditions are right. I checked the weather for all the venues this afternoon, and I see there's a chance for rain for every test. So we'll just have to keep a lookout on Twitter and that to see if there's actually rain. But if it's dry, I think there should be a few points here. New Zealand wouldn't be under so much pressure as they were the previous few weeks. And I think you can maybe have a look at a few anytime try scorers. I see the guys commenting about Lamape, anytime try scorer. I will also be looking at Dan Coles and Fafita maybe.
Right. And for those of you who don't know Henrik, that's a game that he's not getting too involved in, and he's still lined up about 7 or 8 bets in that one. But yeah, I agree with you there, Henrik.
He's 100% right, Brent.
You know that one, Gavin. I mean, wait till we get to the games that he actually wants to get stuck in. Although the funny thing, Henrik, I think it's fair to say, the games that you really get involved in, you're actually probably only going to have a couple of bets. You're spreading it around a bit for a bit of interest, but the games you're really getting involved in, you have a real go at a couple of bets. Yeah,
there's a smaller bets. All these bets I mentioned on this game, just scale down and have a few bets. But yeah, the other games you put a decent bet on, you focus on a certain market and go big, and you hope it comes through.
Well, good to have Hein Dumont, couch critic, on the show. We weren't sure if he was going to make it in. He had an umpire's dinner, but those umpires aren't the biggest party animals in the world, so that one looks like it ended pretty early. But I was saying to Hein when I found out he does umpiring, I mean, if we could only get him into the top echelons of the sport, we could make some serious money, but we better not chat anymore about that. Sean, let's go on to the next game. It's Scotland up against Argentina. Scotland looking to bounce back from that defeat, and Argentina also beaten comfortably in the end by France, certainly enough for France to beat the handicap by a double-figure margin. And here we got Scotland minus 8.5.
Yeah, this is a tough one as well. You can make a case for both sides. Both of them will want to come back after poor, decision making during both games, both sides. And it's a tricky one as well, but I'd be leaning Argentina if I was forced to play, but it's not strong on this one, and not strong. I mean, I'm not going to have anything in this, not 7 bets like Henrik.
Right. Gavin?
Yeah, Brent, it's 6.5 points. I'm happy to back Argentina here. I didn't get enough from Scotland in that game against South Africa. Poor decision making, as Sean said, and Henrik a little earlier. I didn't. I only saw the highlights of the Argentina game. Sorry, I didn't watch the whole match. And just this particular fixture, it's been competitive. It's been close in the past. Argentina have beaten Scotland, so it's not like they're going there having never done this before. I'm expecting Scotland to win, but honestly, it'll be less than a try. But again, I'm not confident. Small 1-unit play for me. I've not gone big here at all.
Right, Henrik, I saw Chris's preview. This is a game he's not overly confident on, but I think he went Scotland by 1 to 12 points at 17 to 10 at Sporting Bet. I know we've talked about this 1 to 12. You're never really safe, but this does look like the sort of game which probably won't be decided by much. And if you are looking for a speculative interest, it could be the one.
Yeah, especially if you're not you don't want to place a big bet here, you go for that one, you get a better price. If you lose, you don't lose that much money. I'm also not confident here, but I'm going against the other two guys. I'm going for Scotland, and I took some -7. The Argentines, they were disappointing against the French. I really thought they could win against the French, and I think I've liked Scotland for 2 years now, and I think there should be a bit of backlash after the South Africa loss. I'm a bit concerned about Finn Russell at 12. We'll have to see how he goes there. They're also trying the 2 playmakers like England has done for a few years now, but they're actually not doing it anymore. But so I'm going small on Scotland -7.5. But your 1 to 12 of Chris's 1 to 12 is also a good bet.
I see Hogg is playing as well, and he looked badly injured when he went off. Am I right in saying he's playing at fullback?
He's playing, yes.
I thought he was absolutely superb against us, and then when he went off, I didn't think he'd be back this year. Certainly, I thought he was gone. But it's amazing how the players recover these days.
Yeah, I also didn't think he'll play. When I saw the team yesterday, I see he's playing, so that's interesting. I see Blair King is on the wing as well. He's also a fullback, lightning fast fullback, and he's playing on the wing, so he should be exciting as well.
Yeah, I'm with you there, Henrik. I like the Scots here. I'm not overly strong on it. I do think Chris could have something with his 1 to 12. But if anything, I'm leaning towards the Scots. Guys, anything more on this game before we move on to what I consider perhaps, certainly one of the 2 big games of the weekend, and that is England up against Australia at Twickenham. And here the handicap, Brendan O'Connell, who Oracle knows, him and I did a video early in the week where we projected the caps. And he came in, I think, 10.5 points in this game, and I came in 6.5. And interestingly, Gavin, the bookmakers have come spot in between us at 8.5. But I get the feeling there's money for England. And I get the feeling, not having watched your video yet, that some of that could be Oracle money.
No, Brent, I'm keeping it low this week. These last 3 weeks have punished me quite badly. So, I'm small bets for me this weekend. I am going England minus, but I'm sticking to what I said the last couple of weeks. It's 100% anti-checker. I don't think Australia got their ducks in a row yet. And although England were reasonably good against New Zealand in the rain, I didn't think they were that great last week. They're very poor, actually. They almost walked on the field thinking they'd won the game by 50 against Japan. And at one point, it looked like they might get into a bit of trouble. They did win it late. The last 20 minutes was all England, obviously. And, I just think England, probably had their eye on this particular game last week. And, I like England here. I am going minus, but very little confidence as well.
Henrik, is this one of your bigger games this weekend?
Yeah, this is one of the bigger ones. This and the next game we're going to discuss is my 2 big plays. And I'm with you guys on the England minus. The Australia, they've been terrible so far. You can't back them. They were poor against the Italians as well last week. And I read yesterday that they've had a stomach back this week as well. Folau is doubtful, and I think Foley is doubtful, and I think Pocock is doubtful as well. So yeah, I think England should be good. Yeah, I'm on the minus. I took some -7.5, and yeah, I think if conditions allow, you can maybe go over some England points here as well.
Just as a matter of interest, was it you pointing out on our WhatsApp group the Australian points line is 18.5 or 17.5?
Yes, it was me. Oh, I did it on Twitter. I actually tweeted.
Twitter. Was it on Twitter? Yes. Well, I'm not going to comment any more on that, having already given up a grand to Gavin on Australian points over the last couple of weeks. But I might be tempted by the end of the show. Sean, let's bring you in on the England game. Sorry, Gavin.
Are you not going to go overs on Australia points in this game? Sorry, did I hear correctly there?
I'm actually not going to. And the reason is, let me tell you before I bring Sean in, I make England one of my best bets of the weekend. And although I don't necessarily, perhaps it's a high-scoring game, but yeah, I'm going to be shouting purely for the English. I'm going to beat them on the handicap. I'll be there with Henrik probably on the overs as well. And I wonder if Mr. Sean Nicholas Rugabugger will be shouting it with us.
Yeah, England are going to smash Australia this weekend. It's going to be bad. Like I said in the GG Gone Mad, it's the 15th anniversary today of England beating Australia in the World Cup final, 2003, Johnny Wilkinson, cracking day for English rugby. And they're going to be thinking about that the whole week. All the interviews are old players talking about playing Australia. Whoever did the fixtures did it brilliantly, because it's Australia backs against the wall. In general, they've had a poor year. I think it's one of their worst years in just as long as I can remember, really, because they've been terrible. They were terrible against Italy. They just nothing's going for them. And Pocock's playing. They're all playing, all those players that Henrik mentioned. But I think that just before the game, Pocock's going to be, late withdrawal, and the motivation doesn't seem there. They're not playing for the coach. England are going to wipe the floor with them. This is going to be a banker if ever there was one.
Well, Hein de Mont, couch critic, reckons there's a bug in the Australian camp as well. And I want to make one cautionary comment here, guys.
The bug is called Checker.
The bug is called Checker. Well, Gavin, I'd love to one day suddenly have Checker appear live on YouTube to have a one-on-one with you, because that guy must cringe every time you say his name. But guys, there is one thing that worries me about this game. As a panel, we very seldom agree on the game, but when we do, we don't have the best of records. Last week it was Scotland plus. There was another time a few weeks ago as well. When one of us is strong on a bet or two of us are strong on a bet, great. But for some reason, when all of us are quite strong, it hasn't been that good. So I'd say that's a bit of a cautionary note. And safe to say that I will be making this probably the best bet in the Good for the Game newsletter tomorrow. So let's hope we can break the curse. Moving on to the next game, it's Wales up against South Africa. And Sean, let's start with you on this one. Wales are generally the favourites, but quite a bit of money, I think, for South Africa during the week. I priced this one at South Africa plus 1.5, and that's certainly where they are with Sunbet. But I've seen South Africa in as short as even money to win the game, 19-20 to win the game. And I'll explain my logic a little bit later, but which way are you heading in this one?
I fancy Wales. I think that they're riding high. It's again the same reasons for New Zealand. It's for the New Zealand game going against them. It's been a long season for South Africa. It's the end of our season. It's just, and we played well in patches, but I just haven't been blown away. I just think that Wales will just sneak it by 3 points. So it's going to be, if you're going to take a safer one, probably be that margin of victory, 1 to 7 points either side, because I think this is going to be tight. This could even be a draw. That's it. But I'd be leaning Wales. Not massive, but I'd definitely be leaning Wales on this.
Well, GG Gaming's special on this game is if you're winning your bet coming into the last 3 minutes and then it loses, you'll get 50% of your stake back. And Henrik, it's not a bad one for a game like this, because like Sean says, it's almost guaranteed to be a close one.
That's a very good special if you think it's going to be close. I think Wales might be winning a bit further it might be a bit bigger margin than Sean thinks it is. So yeah, I like Wales a lot. Yeah, the Boks haven't been good to me. I've called their games pretty wrong. So of course, it's actually the whole year. But I like Wales. Yeah, I've lined this game up from a few weeks ago already. With Gatland back, Wales shown good form, and yeah, I've taken Wales at even money to win the game. And yeah, even with the roof close, I think this might be a bit lower scoring as well. So I'll be looking at going unders here.
Gavin, when I priced this game up, I went South Africa plus 1.5, and Brendan went Wales minus 3.5. And I was pricing up where I thought the handicap would be. And I must say, it's come in about that region. But even as I was pricing up, I was thinking, gee, I can get, if I get +1.5 Wales. Sorry, I'm getting a bit mixed up there. It's +1.5 South Africa now. Okay, no, fair enough. Cancel what I said. I think South Africa open favourites, and there's been lots of money for them. But when I was sort of going, I was thinking if I could get a small plus on Wales, I'd be all over it. Well, seemingly there are favourites across the board now, and you were on South Africa against Scotland last week. Are you changing tack now, or are you joining Hendrik and myself and Sean on the Welsh?
No, last week I backed Scotland, Brent. In fact, the week before I backed France to beat South Africa, and the week before that I backed South Africa to beat England. So I'm 0 out of 3, or as the Americans say, 0 for 3 on South Africa. Yeah, I'm going to disagree with these guys, and I'm going to say South Africa are going to win this game. But I've absolutely got no confidence. So I can't put a lot of money on it. I'm obviously going to sit on the couch. I'm going to shout them. I was moaned at by my wife and kid last week because they were shouting for South Africa and they were looking at me. And I said, listen, you can shout for whoever you like. You want to share in the profits, that's fine. Then you've got to quieten down. And as it happens, South Africa won by 6 and there was no profits and they were pretty irritated with me and went off. But, yeah, look, this week I think we're going to be shouting for South Africa in the lounge over here, but it's going to be a very small punt and more of a patriotic shout than for money. So I wasn't impressed with Wales against Australia. I had a big strike on Wales. It was my best bet that week. They scraped home by 3 bad decision-making. Australia were poor as well. I know there was a lot of rain that day as well. But, last week as well when Wales played Tonga, 21-3 up. Suddenly it's 24-all, and then I still sent you guys a message and said, geez, like, Tonga can probably win this game. And then it was 50-0 after that. So, yeah, I don't know. I just don't have anything for Welsh. I've got very little for South Africa as well, but just a little bit more for South Africa. That's all. I just think they'll win.
Sean, Pierre Ball on the Good for the Game forum just makes a comment here in the live comments. He's saying, isn't it a positive sign that the Boks have really played this 90% the same team for the last 4 weeks? And it's an interesting point because the other way of looking at it and the way I've been looking at it is that Wales were able to rest some of their key players last week, and so will be fresher for this game. Which way are you viewing it?
Yeah, it's good for continuity, but you've got to all the team. England rested their boys against Japan. Wales rested their boys against Tonga. I think we got the same starting team. The Springboks have the same starting 15 from last weekend to this weekend. And I can't remember the last time that happened. And it's a long season. It's been a long tour. I saw visuals of them training in Wales, and it looked mighty cold. It looked crazy cold. So it's the last game of the tour. How motivated are you going to be? They played Wales, I think, last year, also the last game of the tour, and they lost that. So I'm on Wales. I think there's too much going for them. And the Gatlin factor is huge. Crowd's going to be on it, and they're going for a record since '99. So yeah, I think Wales will sneak it.
Right, Wales to sneak that one. Before we go on to the next game, let me ask each of you guys, Henrik, starting with you, you're going to be taking advantage of some of the bookmaker Black Friday specials?
Yes, Brent, I'm definitely going to take the 11K GG's offering. And yeah, hopefully Sunbet has something nice as well. Some of the other bookmakers that came out to specials, I can't bet with them anymore. But yeah, I'm hoping we get some good offers tomorrow. Gavin?
Yeah, absolutely, Brent, and I'm 100% sure every bookmaker is going to have one. I think if they don't, they're going to have staff sitting around twiddling thumbs because no one will have any job to do because everybody will have their money at somewhere else. So yeah, if bookmakers out there, for me, I think are absolutely silly if they don't take part in this. And I was quite impressed with GG's 11,000 because it's just that little sneak in bigger than a couple of the other guys that are offering the 10. So very smart on Gary, like Hendrik said, very clever businessman. That was a sneaky move, and I think he's got a lot of people's attention.
Yeah, certainly he's very sharp, is old Gary. And Sean, I imagine you've got the old internet banking and credit cards lined up to bombard those bookmakers.
Yeah, it's ready for tomorrow. 11 at 11. And I was just going to ask the Oracle for his fancied horse for the day, and let's see how it goes.
Imagine shoving the whole 11 grand on at 8-1. But anyway, let's get back to the rugby. We've got Ireland up against the USA. 36.5 points. I'm just on Sunbet's page at the moment. Minus 36.5 Ireland. And Gavin, let me start with you on this one. one of those games, perhaps I'm not going to be taking that seriously. Ireland's certainly going to make lots of changes. I would imagine that's been announced already. But like New Zealand, they got a lot of depth, and you just don't know what to expect from the team. 36.5, is that too big, though?
Yes, it is, Brent. Well, it feels too big. USA have had a couple of decent results. They just beat Samoa. They played a game in Spain 2 weeks ago. I actually had a small play on Samoa on the day. I found a bookmaker had a price on that. And I was very surprised they'd lost the game. USA won the game by 1, and I thought that was pretty impressive. I obviously didn't see it, so well, it wasn't on TV here. Yeah, I've had a small go on at USA plus. I think I got plus 37.5 or 36.5. It was one of those. Small 1 unit as well. Just think it's a little bit too high. Yeah, I think Ireland are still got a hangover from that game last week. I think the guys that'll be on the field that were playing last week, I don't know. They'll win the game. I don't think they've got any chance of losing the game, but I don't think they'll run away with it. So it's a small bet, and it's just a feeling. That's all.
I'm agreeing with Gavin there, Henrik. I think without really having studied up on this game, 36.5 just seems like a very big handicap. Are you on the plus here, or is this a game to sit out?
I also took plus 37.5 USA. I'm not sure what the Ireland team's going to be like. Probably a bit of a second string, 11, 12 changes.
And Ruan for each
against the New Zealand Maoris, where they got smashed. The US have been pretty impressive this year, and I also saw the game is against some.
I think. Sorry, Henrik, I'm not sure your line may have just broken up for a second, so hopefully I'm not talking over you there. Just Ruan saying Gary Gold, the coach of the USA, seems to be doing quite well. He never rated him before. And also good to have Merva on the site. He's cashed out his Welsh interest already and lumped it all on England on the minus. And that brings us to Sean. Sean, you joining the plus train?
Yeah, I'm scared. We're on another one that we all agree on. But if you got Hollywood's got plus 40.5, which is
plus 40.5 at Hollywood. But the
extra
problem with Hollywood, and they're a good bookmaker, make no mistake. Every now and again, you get a bookmaker that you struggle with. In other words, nothing wrong with their prices and that. But when I have a big bet with Hollywood, somehow I just can't win. It's absolutely amazing. So I'll tell you what, I'll do you a favor. I'll sit out. You fly into Hollywood because it's a great price. It's a great offer. Not having to go to Hollywood here by any means. But they just, you get the every now and again you go on a run with a bookmaker where it doesn't matter what good value they're offering you, you don't seem to be able to hit it. So plus 40.5 at Hollywood. And Gavin, just to bring you in, Hollywood have also got a big special. I think it's related to the Summer Cup more than Black Friday, where they've got a 15% match deposit. And that's, if I'm not mistaken, that's no questions asked. You deposit 20 grand and you get 3 grand in your account.
Correct. Yeah, Brent. So every big race, so they do the July, the Met, and the Summer Cup. Up to 20,000 rand, you get your 15%. You got to turn it over once, and I think it's at 5 to 10, which is very reasonable. There's nothing wrong with that. And so look, if you've got 100,000 rand lying around, I think you might actually use all your money up with all the bookmakers tomorrow. I think you probably need 200 to get going with everyone.
And I hope you're one of those guys like me who get paid on the 25th, because that money's barely going to hit the account and it's going to be flying into bookmakers' accounts. I just hope my wife doesn't get hold of my cell phone and see all the transactions going off there. But anyway, we all seem to be in agreement, and I think Sean pointed out some great value there, the plus 40.5 at Hollywood. Sean, let's stay with you for France v Fiji. France impressive last week, from what I can understand. Like Gavin, I didn't really watch the full game. Minus 19.5 to beat a Fiji side that was certainly hammered by Scotland a couple of weeks back. Do you think Fiji got any chance here of beating the handicap or pushing the French?
I just question their discipline. I mean, they if you could go maybe a halftime, if you fancy Fiji, rather take them on the halftime handicap. And if you fancy France, then take them on the full one, because I think that like the Scotland game, Fiji are going to keep it tight. They tend to do that. That's their style. They keep it tight for about 50 minutes, and then sometimes the wheels just fall off, and they fall off quite badly. I mean, Scotland, they scored 30 points against them, unanswered points in the second half, or 30 points to 3 or whatever it was. So I think similar things this weekend. I might, take a sneaky Fiji at halftime, France at full time, for some small interest, because you get good odds at that.
Gavin, have you posted your video on this one yet?
It hasn't gone up. I have done it. I was uploading it just before the GG show, and then I stopped, and I'll carry on afterwards. I've had a small bet on the Fiji team here. Only just a couple of things that get my attention is it is more than 2 tries, the handicap, and a lot of those Fijian players do play in France, so it's not unfamiliar territory to them. I don't have a lot of interest in this. I'm a little disappointed that France didn't close off South Africa in that game. So yeah, like Sean just said, now they just also the decision making and finishing and all that sort of thing. They could run away with it. I think Sean's probably right. I've got such a small bet on this game that I'm really not concerned about it. I'll obviously watch it. What has irritated me over the last few weeks is putting these games on at the same time. It's hell of a frustrating. We saw Sean Bow he sent us a photo of he had 3 screens up. He was watching one game on his phone, another one on the one screen, and another one on the other. But you can't really watch games like that. I just want to say one more thing. You're saying that all of us are on a game and you have a big bet at Hollywood and it turns. I've got to say that it doesn't matter what we do. We can say whatever we like. We're not going to change the result on the field. You don't have to have superstitions like that. It means nothing.
Are you telling me you're not superstitious, Gavin?
Not at all. Not at all.
Oh, geez, the more I punt, the more superstitious I get. And I know, for example, it will turn at the different bookmakers, but you just go through a run sometimes where
I have a bad run, but what I do doesn't affect the field.
No. So you're telling me you can't influence a game by watching the TV?
My wife, not at all.
I've certainly told my wife that I can do that. And
well, let's hope she's not watching.
Henrik, have you got any superstitions?
Yeah, Brent, I'm very superstitious when it gets to betting. I don't like always sharing my bet with friends. We've got a WhatsApp group as well, and I don't like sharing the bet beforehand. I believe then it loses. But since I've been on the show, I've had to share my bets because everybody's watching the show. I'm sorry about the Wi-Fi issues. I'm not sure what's going on. We have a DSL line currently, but we're having fiber installed in the next 2 weeks or so. So it should be better in the future. Yeah, I'm not sure if you got me, but I'm also on the US plus 37.5, and here in the Fiji game, I like the Fijians on the plus. I'm giving them. I think they can run the French really close here. The French, they've been impressive against the Box and Argentina, but I really like the way the Fijians play as well. So I'm on Fiji plus here.
Yeah, I'm also leaning towards Fiji on the plus. I've just got a feeling that France are going to battle in this game. Let me just quickly, while we're talking superstitions, I want to bring you in, Sean. But before I ask you what your superstition is, one thing I can't handle is when someone calls a bet a winner before it's a winner. It's amazing. And I mean, some of my mates will do this, and I know they mean no harm. They'll know what I've got my money on, and it'll be like South Africa minus 6.5, and South Africa are 21 points ahead with 10 minutes to go. And they'll message me and say, well done. And the moment I've seen that, I just know things are going to get ugly and get rolled. And I really don't ever like to talk a result before it's absolutely in the bank.
Brent, your friends can't change it either.
Hey? You can't change it, but it's amazing. Your back goes, you're enjoying the game, and then you see a tweet and you go, no. Or you see a WhatsApp and you go, oh, my word, I'm in trouble. And how often doesn't it happen? Sean?
No, I'm not superstitious like that at all. But now I know I'm going to do that to you all the time now. Every single game. I'm going to get Hollywood to retweet it when it's a winner.
That's right, Sean. 100%. I think Brent, you've opened the door here. You're in the
I should have kept quiet. I should have kept quiet here, guys.
Sorry, Brent. The other thing I also these days with the TMOs and stuff, there's also a bit of a superstition probably, but I don't celebrate the try before the conversion has been kicked anymore.
In fact, I wait for the guy to kick off the next kickoff because these days the TMOs will pull it back from anywhere. Now I'm with you there as well. I used to get very excited, and the first thing I do now is I try and quickly think, is any reason why that can be pulled back? And I must say, when the TMO is making the decision, I normally change channels as well because I actually don't want to watch. So anyway, yeah, as you can see, I'm pretty much a superstitious wreck. Total opposite of the Oracle. Guys, there's some other rugby this weekend. I must be honest, I haven't really had a look at it. The Pro 14 lines were very late in coming out. Before we decide on our best bets for the internationals, anybody got anything they want to add on the European rugby this weekend?
I just like the 2 South African teams, but the betting's not out for that yet. But I think the Cheetahs and the Kings should both win. Hopefully the Cheetahs minus isn't too big. So I like the 2 South African teams. That's all I like on the Pro 14 so far, without seeing any betting on it.
Of course, this is the time of the year where the Cheetahs and the Kings benefit from the fact that their opponents are without their international players. Gavin, I did see you put a hand up there. You've obviously had a bit of a look.
Yeah, the Pro 14. Again, at game time I might have a bet, but I'm going to keep it quiet on the. I'll keep a low, keep it on the low down on the Pro 14. I've got to get that right. I'm just losing on that tournament. I haven't managed to get it right, and I've got to put a bit more homework into it. And I don't want to be sending out. I don't even want to be putting my own money on games like that if I haven't done enough on it. And as I said, I've just been losing on it. There is one more game that does have my interest this weekend. It's Georgia against Tonga, and I was interested to know what the three of you thought the handicap might be. And there's been a couple of interesting results. And again, Tonga were in that game for about half an hour, and then they were completely smashed. Georgia, on the other hand, had a reasonable game against Italy 2 weeks ago. They lost by 11. And I'm thinking the bookmakers are going to come out with around about 10 here, and then I'm going to be interested in Tonga. But, they might make a mistake and go sort of -2 or 3, and then there's 6 or 7 or 10 available about Georgia, and I might have a go at that. So I'm of the opinion this could be a close-ish game. And depending on the price, I might have a go. I might switch from one side to the other. So I don't know, Sean and Henrik, what did you guys think this handicap might come out?
Gavin, before I bring the boys in there, I just want to set a spread on your video for this game.
Yeah, no, I'll get over 2,000.
I want to set the spread at 1,250, high or low on Gavin's video, because you were saying your last video, was it Wales against Tonga, you virtually broke records there.
Yeah, I know. That was the 5th most watched video. Those Tongan videos, they love them, because they don't get any. They don't get any. No one focuses on their rugby. You go onto YouTube and you tweet and you search for Tonga, you get nothing. You get Oracle Rugby. That's all you get.
Yeah.
The Oaks love me, eh?
Hey, Sean, I mean, it's quite scary to think that Oracle Rugby is actually a sex symbol in Tonga.
I think if we get the Oracle wearing a Tongan vest, we've got the internet is broken.
The internet will be broken. You got an opinion on the game?
No, I think for Henrik, I'm going to say take the middle, because if that's what you're going to get one side or the other. Just for Henrik, take the middle. Tweet Brent that it's a winner before the final whistle, and what a weekend!
No, yeah, you and your middles, Sean. No, I don't like going for the middle. I go one way and that's it. I'm not sure what the handicap's going to be, Oracle, but I also like the Tongans. They're impressed against the Welsh. If the minus is low enough, I think Tonga should be a good bet.
Right. I would say that. I'm not even looking at that game. I've been a little bit disappointed by Georgia in a couple of the internationals. I thought they would do a little bit better. They haven't really trained on, perhaps, as I would have expected them to. So, and I really wasn't impressed with Tonga in that second half against Wales. So for me, this is a game I'm going to sit out and probably just try and cure some of my superstitions or something, because it's clearly becoming a problem. Guys, that brings us to the end of the show. Thanks very much. Really enjoyed it. Let's wrap up with our best bets, and I'll start with you, Sean.
That the Oracle will run for president in Tonga in 2020. No, I'm fancy England. I think England are good things. If anywhere in Hollywood, if you find it anywhere else, go for it. But England it's going to be ugly for Australia.
Gavin?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Sean. I think if there is a best bet, and I've put pretty much the same amount of money on all of these games. But again, I do sometimes have an extra go on Saturday when it's game time, or maybe a couple of hours before. So for me, yeah. So listening to you guys, you've given me a little bit more confidence on England. I'm probably going to have a couple more rand on that, and that'll be my best bet. The others, I've got nothing that stands out, nothing that shouts best bet. So England, definitely.
Henrik?
Now, Brent, if we all go for the same one, we haven't got a good record. So I'm not going for the same one for the sake of us winning.
We can't change the result, Henrik.
So I'm going for the Welsh to win on the board. That's my best bet, but I like the English. And then something not rugby related, I think India should be good things against Australia tomorrow.
Right.
I took part in that Tiger Woods. I went and put some money on Tiger Woods. And do you guys know if it's on TV or is it only on the internet?
I don't know.
No.
Okay, yeah, I went and took that.
But Henrik's not going to be happy about my best bet because I really like England, but I also like Wales, so I'm going to make mine a double. I like to double it around 5-2. But seriously, if I have to choose, England are my best bet with Wales a close second. So, guys, we're all aligned. I think last week we didn't have things go away on that Scotland game. I think we can come out firing England with a nice big double figure victory, and Wales perhaps by 5 or 6 against the Box. Lads, thanks a lot for joining me on the show, and to all the guys on the live chat as well. Been great having you on. Big weekend of rugby, and guys, just to I guess to say in closing, let's enjoy this weekend of rugby because although the Northern Hemisphere stuff's decent to watch when you've got nothing else to do around Christmas time, there's nothing like international rugby and Super Rugby, and we got quite a wait after this. And Oracle, I imagine someone like yourself might be using the opportunity to relax a bit.
Yes, Brent. I'm for after the next week we got Fijians. We've got the Dubai Sevens, and then the following week is the Cape Town Sevens, and then I'm having a proper holiday. Jeez, I've been going flat out every week since April last year. I'm having a proper holiday. I want to have a single rugby bet between Cape Town Sevens and Varsity Cup or Super Rugby or whatever starts at the end of January. So I'm going to take about 5 or 6 weeks off. I might have the odd cricket bet and the odd horse bet, but I'm not touching rugby for 5 or 6 weeks.
Excellent. Guys, thanks very much. That's the end of the Handicap Rugby Chat That Matters. Thanks for everyone watching the show. Like the show, share it with a mate. We want to try and grow it as much as we possibly can. And remember, you can subscribe to the show as well and make sure you don't miss any of them going forward. We will be back next week with a Handicap show. Probably going to have to look at some of the long-term markets, maybe on the World Cup and Super Rugby, because there's not going to be that much rugby on the go, but we'll certainly get stuck into the Northern Hemisphere action as well. That's it, guys. Thanks very much, and good punting this weekend.